Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Furies, a Vietnamese action flick from 2023 that was directed by Veronica Ngo, who also has a supporting acting role in the film. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, that's because I have mentioned her multiple times on this channel, at least twice, I believe, in my Asian movie collection playlist, when I discussed The Rebel from 2007 and Clash from 2009, two pretty entertaining Vietnamese action flicks. And then more recently, I did a separate review of Fury from 2019. And the title of that film is no coincidence, since Furies is apparently a prequel that tells the origin story of that film's villain. So, potentially interesting premise, but how is the execution? Well, the plot is fairly simple here. You have a mysterious woman who trains a trio of girls to take revenge on a criminal gang that abuses women. These lady warriors risk everything to challenge the corrupt empire. A criminal empire, really. Now, first things first, the opening 10 minutes of this movie are just absolutely miserable. Alright? Fury was an intense movie. Quite a good action flick, by the way. But Furies, this prequel, takes it to kind of disturbing levels, especially early on. They throw multiple scenes of sexual assault at you immediately, like right out of the freaking gate. And the movie doesn't even build up to it. You know, I've seen plenty of Asian movies with this kind of offensive content, but I was really not expecting it here, and it kind of blindsided me. So if you watch this movie, just be prepared for the opening like 10 minutes or so. It gets pretty nasty, but after that you'll be fine. In any case, our young protagonist survives this ordeal, travels from her rural residence to the city, and meets Veronica Ngo's character, who takes her in. Unfortunately, some of the other girls at this little home are not so nice. They don't really take her in immediately. They clash with our protagonist. But, you know, she eventually earns their respect because of her tenacity and aggressiveness. And that's when they all team up, train to fight, and go after the bad guys who are running like this human trafficking and drug organization. Now, in terms of script writing, this is pretty weak, okay? At times, it feels like a 2000s Tony Jaa movie from Thailand. You know, the story feels rushed at times. Certain things are not set up properly. The editing is abrupt, and it creates some awkward scene transitions. There's like not even a proper setup for our protagonist's reactions to like what is happening to her. You know, she's placed in this home, asked to train her fighting skills. She doesn't really react to the situation realistically by immediately asking, like, why? You know, like, wait, who are you people? Like, why are you training me to fight? And she just kind of waits for them to explain these things to her, you know, which is kind of odd. Yeah. Now, the plot progression is also pretty awkward. You know, at one point, the ladies go on a mission, right, to sabotage a possible drug deal by making the one villain angry at the other villain due to some bad service. And there's blowback from that mission, and that entire sequence of events that I just described occurs over the course of 2 minutes of screen time. So the pacing is very rushed at times in this film. Now, early on in the film, I was kind of wondering if Furies was just going to be a poorly written flick that's attempting to be edgy with its content. Movies like that can be entertaining in some circumstances. In other cases, however, they could be pretty pretentious or obnoxious, and it certainly leads in the wrong direction early on. You know, another example here, we get a speech from the leader of this group of girls, right, Veronica Ngo's character, and she asserts that, like, all men are just evil, you know, and they need to get their comeuppance. And that's kind of the philosophy of our main characters. And add that to the fact that the villains are practically just cartoonish in their evil behaviors. And I was kind of rolling my eyes a bit at the beginning of this movie. But I will give the film credit. The main character eventually develops some awareness by about I'd say around the 40-minute mark, she starts to question certain things, and then they added a little bit of much-needed nuance that was sorely needed in the film. And then after that, I felt like the story began to flow a little bit better. The flaws were less distracting. But that opening act, the opening act of the film's real kind of dodgy. Very uneven from a dramatic standpoint. Now, fortunately, the fight scenes, generally good. Violent hand-to-hand combat in most cases. Weaponry such as knives and clubs. Pretty good choreography. Camera work is very active, moving around the actors, shifting to different angles during each series of strikes and counter-strikes. Pretty effective, though. I noticed quite a few shots where the camera was placed low, near the ground, and it looks up to catch some of the strikes. And I kind of like that. The action is not all good, however. The worst action set piece is an easy call in this one. There's a motorcycle chase fight. Uses some atrocious green screen CGI effects, and it looks pretty bad. But outside of that one scene, the action is actually pretty solid. Veronica Ngo herself does not really get a legit fight until later on in the movie, but the younger girls do a good job throughout. And they apparently trained for quite a while to prepare for the fight scenes in this movie, and, I like them. The best fights are also saved for the final act, which is always satisfying for an action film. So, as I said, the pacing is fast, perhaps a bit too fast, as I mentioned, but it does avoid having too many dull patches. It moves along. Some nice lighting, especially during the nighttime scenes. We get some greens, yellows, other neon-esque stuff. So, when all is said and done, Furies is a flawed action movie. Still manages to be moderately entertaining if you could kind of look past its flaws. So it's one of those films that I say go in with a little bit of caution. Maybe watch the trailer, and if anything that I've said in this video makes you think you might enjoy it, check it out. I think it's pretty good, but I did enjoy Fury more than this. It's currently available, I believe, on Netflix, so pretty readily available for you. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.